As an American, you have a choice in this country. For the most part, it's a binary choice. Are you a Democrat or you're a Republican? Oftentimes, you make that choice based on the values and principles and beliefs and history that those two parties represent. Also, you have to pick the people who, lead those parties. Who best represents you? Well, let's look at the House of Representatives, because the next time you have a chance to vote, unless you live in Virginia, where you're going to vote for governor this year, next time you have a chance to vote, it's going to be for the House of Representatives and for 2/3 of the Senate coming up in 2026. Let's take a representation of a House Democrat and a House Republican. We'll start with the Democrats. Maxine Waters. It's her city that's burning. It's her city that is succumbing to riots. Here's Maxine Waters, Johnny on the spot, trying to handle the situation on behalf of the people of Los Angeles.
Down here to the detention center to see if I can find out what is happening with David Huerta. He is one of our leaders in organized labor, head of a local SEIU union. I don't know why they picked him up. I don't know what they're going to do to him. I don't want them to deport him. I think that he is being targeted, but our city is being targeted because we're a sanctuary city. Trump hates us. He does not like this city. He's trying to intimidate, and he sent the guns in here on us. The governor didn't know anything about the National Guard coming here. He did it on his own. We can't be intimidated. We've got to get the people out. We've got to get the elected officials out. We've got to resist him. I'm going back out into the communities where ICE was last night to make sure people know that their elected officials are standing with them.
There you go. Okay, that's a choice. You want to be a Democrat? Maxine Waters represents you. And everything that entails. You notice that she's heading to the ICE detention center, she said, to take a look at David Huerta. Not there to look out for, taxpayers of the city, not to protect the small business owners who are being devastated by the looting, not to try to bring justice to the people who are causing a hazardous situation by burning cars in the middle of intersections. No. She wants to go and find out what's going on with David Huerta. Who's he? Well, he's the president of the SEIU. That's the Service Employees International Union. It's a big government employee union. They spend about 99% of their money supporting Democrats. That's why she's going there, for the SEIU. And when the SEIU isn't using all of their funds to funnel it back into the campaign treasuries of elected Democrats so that they can make sure they get a nice sweetheart contract with the very government that they help elect, well, then they're also organizing the community. The government employee unions and community organizing groups work hand in hand. Whenever there is a protest or a march and a borderline riot, you will see the government employee unions there. Here's one example. This is the president of the National Education Association, the teachers union.
We the people! We the people! We the people! Yeah! All of us have that right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of justice.
Yeah, she represents public school teachers, and she can't even get life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness right. You ignorant, uneducated moron. Purple shirts in the crowd are SEIU. Blue shirts in the crowd, National Education Association. Red shirts, I believe, are the American Federation of Teachers. And then there's the green shirts in the crowd. Isn't it cute how they're all in uniform? These aren't organic protests. Look at the colors in the crowd. They're all wearing their team shirts for their battalion or their platoon in the Army. The green shirts is AFSCME, American Federation of Servicemen something AFSCME. It's government employees. Here's this guy for AFSCME.
We are labor, and we move the agenda to support working families all over the country. And if somebody gets in our way, shame on them, because we're going to run right over them, aren't we? Shame! It's time to make your voices heard.
You get in our way, we're going to run right over you. These are peaceful protests. Just remember, they're peaceful. It's all peace, love, and understanding. It's peace. Back to Maxine Waters this morning. House of Representatives in the press room asked about the violence, the looting, the arson, the riots, the mayhem in her city that we all saw all weekend long on television, asked about that. Well, who are you going to believe? Maxine Waters or your lying eyes?
Protests, and even those who were out of step with what we are advocating, peaceful protest, did not create any violence. Nobody was shot, nobody was killed. Get it in your head. And so when martial law is called, what are you going to say? I missed the point. Don't miss the point, you all. Don't think that somehow, because they called out the National Guard, there was violence. There was no violence.
There you go. There was no violence. I don't know what you saw, but there was no violence. There was no one throwing rocks at cops' heads or cops getting hit in the head with concrete rocks dropped from the overpass. I thought I saw that. I wouldn't make that up. There was no looting. There was no firebombing of cars. There was no explosions. There was none of that. There was no violence. I love her. I love this woman's definition of that. No one was shot. No one was killed. I'm pretty sure someone was shot and killed in LA, whether it had to do with the riots or not. So again, I just want to point out, as a Democrat, if you choose to be a Democrat, you are aligning yourself with this leadership, with those unions, with the government employee unions, with the people screaming in the streets, with the brilliance and intelligence and articulate rhetoric, the soaring rhetoric of Maxine Waters. You're also, by the way, going to get a lot of friends in showbiz. You see, if you vote Democrat, you're part of the cool kids club on television and in the movies. You're now also represented there by people like Joy Behar, for instance.
There, because you can't deny the imagery that you're seeing. There are cars being lit on fire. There are police officers being attacked. There are guardsmen being attacked.
Though?
So
to
be honest, I don't really care if you're hurting police officers, if you're damaging property. That you should get your day in court for.
But nothing was happening like that until they sent
this is where it's on the governor to say, let's make this the biggest peaceful protest in history. But the second it gets violent, the governor needs to crack down and show he's capable of policing.
Right. We need to do a Larry on this clip. It's only about 25 seconds long, but I want to make sure you didn't miss what was said there. Alyssa Farrar, who is a Trump-hating Republican, and that's the only kind that's allowed on the View panel, she says, hey, you can't deny the truth. Cops are being injured here by the crowds. And Joy Behar says, what now?
Police officers being attacked. There are guardsmen being attacked.
Though?
How many, though? So she can say, I'll stipulate that cops were attacked and injured. But, I mean, how many are we talking here? 3, 4, 10? I mean, sure, that's bad, but how bad? So now we're negotiating the number of cops who are being assaulted by the mob. She's your leader there in the entertainment world, Joy Behar. That's who you're aligning yourself with if that's who you're voting for. And this is the intellectual rationale that you must now adopt. Yeah, cops getting injured, that's bad. But how many are we talking about? And then the pièce de résistance, the talking point of talking points that's being utilized, because you may be saying, oh, that's Joy Behar. Come on, Larry. No. She's about to repeat what you're hearing from Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, Karen Bass, Maxine Waters, every Democrat that I've seen. This is what they say. Listen closely.
To be honest, I don't really care if you're hurting police officers, if you're damaging property. That you should get your day in court for.
But nothing was happening like that until they sent
There you go. Nothing like that was happening until they sent the federal law enforcement. So understand something. They're rationalizing. She just said she's stipulating that it happened. She's stipulating that the cars are getting burned and the cops are being attacked. And you saw the video of the fireworks being shot at them and all the crap being thrown on them. Sure. But see, they instigated it by sending ICE agents. So enforcing our laws is a rational excuse for violence and mayhem. That's the talking point for the Democrats right now, as perfectly articulated by this fine representative for all of you who are voting Democrat. There she is. She and Maxine Waters. That's who you got. Now, if you're considering voting Republican, it'd be easy to say, well, there's Trump, there's Vance, there's Rubio. You know what? Let's just keep it in the House of Representatives. Here's the top Republican. He's the Speaker of the House. He was asked today specifically about Maxine Waters' claim that you just saw that there was no violence in Los Angeles.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What is your reaction to Congresswoman Maxine Waters repeatedly saying that there has been no violence in the LA riots? And do you believe that Democrats are making a mistake by not talking about what's really going on?
Clearly, the Democrats are making a mistake by taking the wrong side here, and I'm just going to, in my southern gentlemanly way, say bless her heart to Maxine Waters. I don't even know how to comment on Maxine Waters anymore. It's madness. I'm going to be charitable and leave it right there. Yeah.
That is incredibly charitable. I don't think I would have that restraint, but good for him. I don't know if you caught it, though, but did you see the epic eye roll? Did you see the moment when he was asked about Maxine Waters? And as good a southern gentleman as he is, he couldn't control his facial expressions. A new meme, everyone. Grab it quickly and get the Mike Johnson eye roll out there. But he was then asked about the governor of California and the showdown right now between that governor on behalf of his state and the federal government.
The president said, possibly in jest, that if he were Tom Homan, he would arrest Gavin Newsom. Do you believe that Newsom should face consequences in a legal way?
Look, that's not my lane. I'm not going to give you legal analysis on whether Gavin Newsom should be arrested, but he ought to be tarred and feathered. I'll say that. I mean, look, he's standing in the way of the administration and the carrying out of federal law, right? He is applauding the bad guys and standing in the way of the good guys. He is trying to. He's a participant, an accomplice in our federal law enforcement agents being not just disrespected but assaulted. This is a serious problem, and the governor is now filing a lawsuit against the president. What a joke. Do your job, man. That's what I tell Gavin Newsom. Do your job. Stop working on your rebranding and be a governor. Stand up for the rule of law. He's not doing that. So I don't know what the ultimate measure will be there, but I know that in the interim time, the president of the United States is showing real leadership, and we're not going to allow LA to burn. We've seen this movie before, right? This thing gets out of hand real quickly, especially in a big city like that. And if local and state officials are unwilling or unable to do their job, the president of the United States will do his, and we support that fully.
There it is. Like I said, it's a pretty clear choice who you're going to align yourself with based on how they best represent you. I, for one, as a Republican, pretty happy with him as my representative. Did he just say Gavin Newsom should be tarred and feathered? I love that. Listen, a legal question about whether Gavin Newsom should be arrested or not, that's not in my lane. I shouldn't get into that. I'm not a legal expert. I do think he should be tarred and feathered, though. That I'll give you. That's a very Louisiana thing. Tarred and feathered. All right, so I know you're all like, oh, that's not fair, Larry. Maxine Waters, Mike Johnson, it's not fair comparison. Okay, fine. You know what? Let me go to the bench. Let me dip down a little deeper. How about a state representative in Minnesota? That's a very liberal state, right? I mean, it's the only state that hasn't voted for a Republican for president since 1972. Think about that. Every single state in this country has voted for a Republican for president, except for Minnesota, going all the way back to 72. And that year it was for Nixon, which is kind of hilarious. So Minnesota is a perfect representative of sort of the bench, right? I mean, if you're a Democrat elected official and you're trying to sort of make hay and build yourself up, this is the perfect minor league system. It's Minnesota, after all, where Democrats thrive. So here's a Minnesota state representative on the floor of their legislature making a startling admission while debating immigration policies in the state.
Because his mother had died, my father, as the one processing the paperwork, put my grandmother down as his mother. And so I am illegal in this country. My parents are illegal here in this country. Because his mother...
That is a Minnesota state representative taking this opportunity to explain that her parents lied on the form to come into this country and thereby entered the United States of America illegally. She is an illegal immigrant to this nation, and she currently represents a state district in Minnesota. Oh, and by the way, she brags about how she votes. I don't mean who she votes for. I mean the fact that she votes. Because last I checked, if you're not a citizen of this country, and even worse, if you're an illegal immigrant, it's against the law to vote. She and her parents, who she just outed as lying on their form to get into the country, also voted with her. Like I said, I framed this conversation in your choice about what party you align yourself with regard to what they stand for, what they believe, and who they have right now representing you, speaking for you. And I think based on the events of the last several days, and certainly what I just showed you, you've got a clear choice ahead of you. One stands for reasonable law and order and an organized civilization and society, and the other, well, does not. The other at this point stands for and even celebrates lawlessness. And you may not like the laws. You may want to oppose the laws. That's fine. We actually have a system in this country where you can change the laws if you don't like them. You can even change our Constitution if you don't like them. We have elections about it all the time. We just had one a few months ago. And the issues on immigration policy, they were front and center in that election. And the people of this country chose. And I don't know, last I checked, people really like to wax poetic about our democracy, even though we are a constitutional republic. That's fine. You like democracy, you like voting, you like making sure that the will of the people is respected. Then when the election doesn't go your way and the person who won the election ends up carrying out the very policies that he won that election promising to do, color me crazy, but I don't think the appropriate response in a democracy is to take to the streets and burn the whole damn thing down. But if I were a Democrat and I voiced that opinion, well, I would be in the minority. That's not what they stand for anymore. So I guess the question is, who do you stand with?